I moved into the cottage at the end of Mill Creek Road because I wanted silence. Not peace, necessarily. Just the absence of noise, of people, of reminders. The place was cheap. Too cheap for how scenic it was. 1 bedroom, wraparound porch, lots of trees. It had the rotting wood charm that looked great in black and white photography, but smelled like mildew in real life. Still, it was mine for 6 months, and that's all I needed. I signed the lease in the middle of October. The rain started the very next day. The first night it poured. I sat on the porch, sipping tea and listening to it drum against the roof. There's something ancient about rain. It drowns the world out, makes you feel like nothing can touch you. And then I heard it. 3 knocks. Not thunder, not branches, coming from the front door. It startled me. I wasn't expecting anyone. Hell, no one even knew I lived there yet. I walked around the porch, down the steps, and to the front. Opened the door. Nothing. Just mist, darkness, and trees swaying in the wind. I figured it must have been an animal. Or maybe I imagined it. Rain can play tricks on the ears. I closed the door, locked it, and went to bed. It happened again, 4 nights later. Another storm, another 3 knocks. I jumped this time, spilled my tea, heart in my throat. I rushed to the door and yanked it open. No one, but this time I saw footprints. Just 3, bare feet in the mud, facing the door. They weren't mine. The next day I installed a camera, one of those cheap motion sensor doorbell things. Figured I'd catch some dumb prankster. The forecast said rain that night, and like clockwork, 3 knocks. I waited. This time, I didn't open the door. I just stared at the feed on my phone. The camera didn't trigger. I rewound the footage. Nothing. No movement. No visitor. Not even the knocking sound. Just stillness. I called the landlord. Ever have issues with trespassers out here? I asked. Long pause. You're not opening the door, are you? What? During the storms, when it knocks, you haven't let it in, right? My throat dried. No, I said slowly. What the hell are you talking about? More silence. You should be fine. Just don't answer while it's raining. He hung up. I didn't sleep that night. The rain came again, around 2 a.m. 3 knocks. Not hard, not angry, just patient. I stayed in bed, holding my breath, listening to the water drum on the roof and the occasional low groan of wind. But I didn't get up. I didn't move. Eventually, the knocking stopped. I started keeping notes. November 2nd, light rain, 3 knocks at 1:47 a.m. November 5th, thunderstorm, 3 knocks at 2:13 a.m. November 9th, heavy rain, nothing. November 10th, drizzle, 3 knocks at 3:01 a.m. Always 3. Always at night. Never when it was dry. I stopped sitting on the porch. I stopped drinking tea. I started sleeping with a flashlight in one hand and a crowbar by the bed. One night, it rained harder than I'd ever heard. The power went out. Total blackness. I lit a candle, sat on the couch, waited. The knocks came at 2:44 a.m. But this time, they didn't stop. Another set, then another, then 5 knocks, then 7, fast, slow, erratic. I stood up, heart racing. The walls felt thinner, the room darker. Then the back door knocked. Once, twice, 3 times. Then the side window. Then the glass door to the porch. Like something was circling the house, knocking over and over and over again. I screamed, "Go away!" And everything stopped. Dead silence, even the rain. I didn't know how long I stood there. Hours, maybe. I didn't sleep, didn't move. The next morning, everything was back to normal. Birds chirping, power restored, mud drying in the sun. I checked the security footage again. Nothing. No knocks, no sound, no movement. Like the night had been erased. I considered leaving, packing up and heading to a hotel, but part of me didn't want to give in. It was just a storm, just sound, right? I kept telling myself that until the night I woke up to find the front door wide open. Rain was falling in sideways. The rug was soaked. There were no knocks, just the open door. A trail of wet, bare footprints leading inside. I followed them, heart hammering. They led across the floor, down the hall, into the guest room I never used. I reached for the doorknob, paused, then swung it open. Empty, except for one thing. On the bed sat a photo frame. My photo frame. It had been on my dresser. Inside it was a new picture. Me, standing in the doorway, asleep, with something standing behind me. Something tall, thin, smiling. I left that day, drove 2 towns over, stayed at a motel for a week. No rain, no knocks, no problems. But the moment I returned home, clouds, thunder, and as I sat on my bed that night, paralyzed with fear, I heard it again. 3 knocks. I didn't open it. I didn't move. But I knew something was on the other side, waiting, smiling, still wet from the rain. I'm writing this now for whoever rents this place next. Don't answer when it knocks. Don't check the cameras. Don't follow the footprints. And for the love of God, never open the door while it's raining. Thank you for listening to tonight's tale. I hope the sound of the rain doesn't linger too long after this one ends. If you ever hear knocking while the storm rolls in, do yourself a favor and don't answer. I'll be back tomorrow with another story from the shadows. Until then, stay inside, stay curious, and as always, stay Draconian. Good night. I didn't believe in ghosts. Not the kind that rattle chains or whisper your name in the dark. But after 30 years as a homicide detective in East Hammond, I came to believe in echoes. Things that don't die. They just linger. My name's Victor Langston. I'm 63 years old, and I retired last month. Or at least I tried to. A week before I turned in my badge, a cold case file landed on my desk. No one claimed it. No timestamp, no cover sheet. Just 4 manila folders bound together with a red rubber band. 4 missing persons, teens, all from the same street, Dalton Street. I remember Dalton, burned into memory like a scar on a hand. In the late 80s, it was just another forgotten neighborhood, built over what used to be marshland. Cheap concrete, poor drainage. Locals joked you could drown in your basement if the sewer backed up. But what I found in those folders... Case 1. Gina Cordova, 16. Last seen walking her dog. Dog came back. She didn't. Case 2. Marcus Wayne, 14. Vanished after a friend's house party. Case 3. Lily Tran, 17. Disappeared during a power outage. Case 4. Andre Fields, 15. Reported missing after going to the store. 4 kids, all gone within 9 months. All from the same 3-block stretch. And this part chilled me. Each family received a letter the day after the disappearance. Same handwriting, no signature. Just the silence houses them now. I only watch. The caretaker of the forgotten. Never seen anything like it. I should have passed it off. I had 2 weeks left, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not because I thought I could solve it, but because nobody ever tried. So I went back to Dalton Street. Place looked dead. Most houses were condemned. Wood rotted. Window boarded. It smelled like mildew and gasoline. There was a church at one end. Its steeple collapsed. And at the other, a fenced-in lot full of rusted sewer pipes. I knocked on doors. Most were empty. One old woman, Miss Adeline, still lived there. Oxygen tank. Watched me through the screen.
You looking for them kids?
She asked before I said a word. I nodded. You remember them? She coughed.
Gina, Marcus, Lily, and Dre. Sweet kids. Dalton didn't take kindly to sweet.
What do you mean? She looked past me, toward the street.
You hear it yet?
Hear what? She didn't answer. That night, I reviewed the files again. Something odd jumped out. All the disappearances happened during periods of loud construction nearby. A new highway interchange, sewer line upgrades, storm drain repairs. All of that noise. And yet every report mentioned the exact same thing. Right before they vanished, the whole street went quiet. No cars, no dogs, no wind. Dead silence. I went down into the archives the next day, hunting for any incident reports. Found an unmarked cassette tape buried in one of the boxes, labeled Dalton 1989, Field Audio. Popped it in the player. At first, just static, then voices, cops interviewing Gina's parents. Nothing unusual. Then something eerie. Around the 17-minute mark, you hear this low hum, faint, like the sound you get from old electric wires. Then it dips, deep and mechanical, like it's being pushed through a tunnel of wet stone. The officer says on tape, "Is that your water heater?" And the father says, "No, we don't have one." The hum continues 26 seconds, and then, all at once, it cuts, and there's nothing. That night, I couldn't sleep, not just because of the hum, but because when I played the tape again, it sounded different. The hum wasn't random. It was rhythmic, almost like breathing. I requested access to the city's sewer maintenance records.
Dead ends. Most documentation from the 80s was lost during a fire in city storage. Classic. I went to Public Works, pulled a map. Dalton Street sat over the original storm drainage system, built in 1911. Underneath it, a crawl space was used for access tunnels that were long since abandoned. City had no idea what was down there now, so I went to look. It was dead at night, cold, windless. I parked a block away from the rusted gate at the end of Dalton, cut the chain, brought a flashlight, a revolver, and an old police radio. I found the manhole, heavy, old steel. Took everything in me to pry it open. I climbed down. The ladder was slick, smelled like iron and mold. At the bottom, I hit concrete. The tunnel was wide, at least 6 feet tall. An arch with brick, lined with roots. Water trickled down one side. And then I heard it. The hum. It vibrated in my jaw, not my ears. Deep and low, pulsing through the walls. Not mechanical, not electric. Alive. I kept walking. Maybe 50 yards in, I found something that made my stomach twist. A stack of kids' shoes. 4 pairs, neatly placed in a corner, like someone was waiting to come back for them. A little farther in, scratches on the wall. Names. Lily. Dre was here. It came from the floor. I turned around. That's when I saw the light, a dim, greenish glow coming from behind a crumbled portion of wall. I approached slowly. Behind the break was a chamber, large, old stone and dripping with condensation. At the center, a pit perfectly round, no ladder, just black, open space. The hum was coming from in there. And then I heard a voice.
Detective Langston.
It wasn't an echo. It was inside my head. Then others joined. Whispers. Dozens. No, hundreds. I dropped my flashlight. The hum peaked, and then silence. I don't remember crawling out. Don't remember driving home. I woke up in my bed at 9 a.m., covered in filth, mud in my nails, sewage in my hair. My radio still on the nightstand, and it was whispering. Not static. Voices. The department never believed me. Called it stress, retirement jitters. I turned in my badge and never looked back. But sometimes when it's quiet, too quiet, I feel it again. That low, wet hum, like something breathing beneath the floorboards. And every time I do, I check my shoes. Make sure they're not stacked by the door. If you're still listening, then maybe you're hearing it too. That low hum beneath your floorboards. The one that gets louder when you try to ignore it. Be careful. Some silences aren't empty. Some are just waiting to be heard. Until tomorrow, stay vigilant, stay curious, and as always, stay draconian. Good night.
I was so excited to live alone. After 22 years of sharing bedrooms with siblings and college roommates, I finally signed the lease on a studio apartment in a quiet neighborhood on the east side of town. It wasn't huge, just a living space with a kitchenette, a bathroom, and a single closet, but it was mine. My parents helped me move in over a weekend in August. The AC rattled like it had bronchitis, and the place smelled faintly of dust and something older. But I figured it just needed a little life inside it again. Everything felt normal until about 3 weeks after they left. It started with small things. First thing I noticed was a missing mug, my favorite one, the one my sister got me from our trip to Colorado. I figured I misplaced it in a box or maybe broke it and forgot. Then it was food. Half a pack of granola bars gone, an open jar of peanut butter I didn't remember opening. Again, I assumed I was just being forgetful. I was in a new place, working a part-time job, and adjusting to adult life. Stress makes you clumsy, right? That's what I told myself. One night in early September, I came home after a late night shift and felt something was off the moment I stepped in. Nothing was stolen, nothing was broken, but the throw pillow I always kept on my bed was now on the couch, and the chain lock, which I never used, was latched from the inside. I stood at my doorway for almost a full minute, just staring. There was no way I could have left it that way. The door locks automatically behind me, and the chain has to be fastened from the inside. I checked every inch of the apartment, room by room, even under the bed like a kid afraid of monsters. Nothing. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I called the leasing office and asked if maintenance had come in for any reason. They said no. I asked if anyone else had a copy of my key. They assured me only the manager and the emergency maintenance staff did, and all entries were supposed to be logged. Still, I changed my locks that afternoon. Even bought a little stick-on door sensor that beeped if the door opened. It made me feel a lot better, until I started hearing noises. Soft, barely there creaks at night. The rustle of paper. Once I swore I heard someone sigh from behind the closet door. I'd swing it open, heart pounding, and find nothing but clothes and boxes. I started thinking maybe I was losing it. Then came the sticky note. I found it a few days later, tucked inside the drawer where I keep my kitchen utensils. I only opened that drawer to grab a spatula. Sitting there on top of the silverware was a bright yellow note, the kind you buy in bulk from office supply stores. In shaky all-caps handwriting it said, "You looked peaceful last night." My blood went cold, my legs locked. I backed into the living room, knees trembling, unsure what to do. I didn't call the cops right away. I was embarrassed. What would I even say? Hi, someone left a creepy note in my drawer, and I'm scared. There was no sign of forced entry, no fingerprints, nothing stolen. Still, I knew something was wrong. So, I bought a cheap motion-activated camera from Amazon and stuck it above my closet door. One that would ping my phone if it detected movement. I didn't want to admit it, but I was starting to think someone might be living in my apartment. It didn't take too long for the camera to catch something. 3 nights later, I was at my friend Tasha's apartment, too nervous to sleep alone. Around 2, I got a notification. Motion detected. 3rd Avenue Studio Cam. I opened the app. At first, I thought it glitched. The feed was shaky and the lens looked covered. But then it cleared, and for a split second, I saw a face. Close up, eyes wide, skin pale, mouth slightly open like he was trying to listen through the camera. Then the feed went dark. No movement after that, just static. I went home the next day with a baseball bat and Tasha by my side. We found nothing. No sign of anyone in the closet, nothing under the bed, even the attic hatch was sealed tight. But the note was gone. I didn't sleep that night either. The final straw came 2 weeks later. I came home from work around 7 p.m. and something just felt wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it until I noticed the air vent in the bathroom ceiling. It had dust around the edges like it had been removed. I grabbed a chair, climbed up, and nudged it open with a broom handle. Inside was a small compartment, barely big enough for a person to squeeze into, but someone had tried. There was a crumpled blanket, a toothbrush, a plastic bottle, and, in the corner, my missing mug. I fell off the chair. I called the police this time. They searched the entire building but found no one. They told me it was likely someone had been accessing the crawl space through the roof and slipped into my vent when I wasn't home. No signs of break-in, just signs of someone waiting. They ended up filing a report, told me to stay with a friend, and promised to notify the landlord. That night, I stayed at Tasha's again. I didn't sleep, neither did she. Around 3, I got another ping. This time, the motion wasn't from the closet. It was from the front door. I pulled up the feed. A man in a gray hoodie was standing inside my apartment. He was barefoot, just standing there, looking around. Then he turned to face the camera, held something up. It was the yellow sticky note. He pressed it against the wall, took 2 steps forward, and waved. The police didn't find him. They reviewed the footage and said that the man must have had a copy of the new key or found a way to pick the lock. I moved out the same week. Didn't go back for anything I couldn't carry in my arms. The leasing company refunded my deposit without even arguing. I think they knew. I've changed cities, changed my phone number, got a roommate, installed 3 cameras and a second deadbolt. But some nights, I still get that feeling. That off feeling, like someone's waiting nearby, listening. And just last week, I opened a package I didn't remember ordering. No return address. Inside, a single sticky note. I still have the key. They say your first apartment is where you find yourself. I guess I found something else. Someone else. If you ever feel like something's off, like your stuff isn't where you left it, or you're not alone in the dark, trust that feeling. And maybe double check the locks. Thanks for listening. And until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and stay draconian. Good night.
Everyone in Devil's End says the same thing. Ain't nothing ever happened here. And they say it with a smile, like they believe it. But that's the thing about places like this. The worst horrors aren't the ones they hide. It's the ones they forget. My name is Riley Boone. I've worked everything, from marital stakeouts to cold case murder cleanups across the South. I don't scare easy. But when I took the case from a guy named Jasper Mayfield about his missing daughter in a town that supposedly no longer existed, I knew I wasn't walking into anything normal. He handed me a worn photo of a girl in a yellow hoodie. Her name's Eden. She went missing 6 days ago. Last ping from her phone was in a place called Devil's End. I Googled it. Nothing. Not a map hit. Not a news blip. Not even urban legends. So I asked, "You sure that's the name of the town?" He leaned forward. "It ain't on a map, but it's still there." I drove out the next morning. Followed Jasper's directions into the Ozarks, mile by mile, until the paved road gave way to gravel, then red dirt, then barely a path. No cell service, no road signs. After 2 hours of forest, the trees parted. Devil's End. If you'd blinked, you'd missed it. Just 6 buildings, weather-worn and sagging like old skin. An abandoned diner, a church with a collapsed roof, a gas station missing its pumps, and one house with the porch light on. I parked, walked up, knocked. The door creaked open almost instantly. An old woman stood there, smiling. "You're just in time," she said. "For what?"
for the forgetting.
I asked around town what little there was of it. A dozen residents, all gray-haired and polite, each one with the same glassy eyes and the same unnerving calm.
Missing girl? Haven't seen no missing girl. Yellow hoodie? No one's been here in years. I don't know what you talking about.
And then always, ain't nothing ever happened in Devil's End. But something was happening, and I just didn't know what until I met the kid. He couldn't have been older than 8, dirty hands, ripped shirt, sitting on the back steps of the church playing with a deck of bent cards. He looked up at me and said,
"You're not supposed to stay past sundown."
"Why not?" He shrugged.
"That's when the town forgets."
Sundown came fast. Golden light draped the buildings like a shroud. The trees went still. The crickets stopped chirping. And that's when I noticed it. All the houses now had lights on, even the ones that were boarded up. I walked towards the diner. Through the dusty glass, I saw people, young people, dressed like it was the 1980s, talking, laughing, plates of food in front of them. I tried to open the door. It wouldn't budge. I knocked. One girl, blonde, early 20s, turned and looked directly at me. She wore a yellow hoodie. I stepped back, and suddenly the lights went off. The diner was empty again, cobwebs, rusted tables. I ran back to my car. It was gone. No tire tracks. No sign it had ever been there. Just a stretch of road that led into dark woods. I returned to the house with the porch light. The old woman answered again. Same smile.
"Who are you?"
"You just saw me."
"I've never seen you before in my life."
My mouth went dry. What's going on here?
"You'll know soon enough. Everyone always remembers just before they forget again."
I spent that night in the church, sitting upright with my back to the wall. In the middle of the night, I heard footsteps, then laughter. Not outside, inside. I turned on the light, no one. But on the pew across from me sat a crumpled yellow hoodie. I left the church at dawn. The town looked different, older somehow, more decayed. When I knocked on the same doors, different people answered. Some were too young to have been here yesterday. They all said the same thing. Ain't nothing ever happened in Devil's End. And then I looked in a cracked mirror on the side of the gas station, and for a moment, just a flicker, I saw someone else's reflection. My face, but wrong. Smiling too wide. Eyes too empty. That was yesterday, or maybe a year ago, I'm not sure anymore. I don't know how long I've been in Devil's End, but I do know this. Every night, when the sun goes down, I remember Eden, the yellow hoodie, the laughter in the dark. I remember me. But when the morning comes, I forget again. If you're hearing this recording, it means I remembered long enough to send it. Please, don't come looking for me. You won't find a town. You'll only find silence and strange smiles and a voice whispering in the trees. Ain't nothing ever happened in Devil's End. Some places don't get forgotten because they're unremarkable. They get forgotten because they need to be. If you ever come across a road with no name, leading to a town not on any map, turn around. Because once you remember Devil's End, it's already too late. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay curious Stay cautious and stay draconian. Good night.
You never think it'll be you. I used to walk around with my headphones in, head down, lost in whatever podcast or playlist was helping me survive the semester. But that night, I felt something I'd never felt before. A pressure in the air, like someone was watching me. It was just past 9:45 p.m. I'd finished my last final, intro to environmental chem, and all I wanted was to get home, heat up some leftovers, and pass out. The rain hadn't let up since I left the lecture hall. It soaked through my hoodie and jeans like I hadn't even dressed. My car, a beat-up 2009 Civic, was parked across the lot in the far corner under a flickering light. Every step felt heavier than the last. I clutched my keys like a weapon. That stupid keychain with the plastic turtle swinging between my fingers. That's when I felt it. Not saw. Felt. Someone was watching me. I glanced back. Saw no one. Just puddles and mist. But that feeling didn't leave. It followed me right into my car. I didn't get far. The heat was broken and the windshield was fogging like crazy. I was halfway down Route 27 when I must have nodded off. Just for a second, maybe two. Next thing I remember was the crunch. Steel folding, glass shattering, my head smashing against the wheel. The taste of blood filled my mouth. Then, darkness. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in a hospital or my car. I was in a dim room with concrete walls and a smell that made my stomach turn. I was on a mattress, if you could call it that, sagging, stained, and cold. I tried to move, but my arm wouldn't budge. Panic surged through me. My wrist had been cuffed to a rusted metal pipe fixed to the wall. What the hell? I whispered. I yelled, screamed until my throat was raw, kicked at the mattress, the wall, anything. My heart was a drum in my chest, fast and unrelenting. Then the door creaked open. He stepped in, tall, masked, holding a camera. His clothes were mismatched like he got dressed in the dark. He didn't speak at first, just pointed the camera at me. A red light blinked. It was live.
"You are awake,"
he said, voice distorted through a modulator, though I could hear a slight accent. He turned the screen towards me. A chat was pouring in. Comments, emojis, commands. Break his arm. Burn him. Make him beg. My mouth went dry.
"You're going to be a star." "But only if they like your performance."
In that moment, I begged. I really did. Said I had a mom, a girlfriend, dreams, that it wasn't too late, but he didn't care. He scrolled through the suggestions like he was reading lunch specials. Then, nothing. My vision swam, the pain from the crash catching up. My ribs throbbed, my head pulsed, everything blurred. Darkness came again. When I came to, he was gone. The room was silent. The camera lay on a desk near the door, unplugged. My right hand still cuffed. I tugged hard. The pipe rattled, but it didn't budge. That's when the desperation set in. I pulled, twisted, yanked. The cuff cut into my wrist. I screamed in pain. My pinky slipped a bit. And that's when I realized I could maybe get out, but I'd have to break myself to do it. I won't lie, I cried. Sat there on that filthy mattress and cried. But the sound of footsteps above, the creak of the floorboards snapped me back. He'd be back soon, so I did it. I gripped my pinky, braced myself, and twisted. The pop echoed louder than it should have. My scream must have startled birds outside. One by one, I dislocated the fingers on my right hand. When I finally pulled free, my hand was a swollen, shaking mess. But I was out. And I was pissed. The pipe came off with a solid yank. Rust flew. I staggered to my feet, blood dripping from my fingers. I waited near the door, every breath a countdown. When the door opened, I didn't hesitate. I hit him in the head. He fell instantly. The mask flew off. He groaned, tried to crawl. I hit him again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Until the warmth of blood sprayed across my face, and I realized he wasn't getting up. I dropped the pipe. My whole body shook. I didn't even look at him, I just ran. The woods outside were thick and unforgiving. My legs buckled twice, and I limped, wet leaves clinging to my skin. I didn't know where I was, only that I had to keep going. I followed the sound of a distant highway, the hum of something real. It took me nearly 20 minutes, but I saw lights, headlights. I stumbled out into the road, arms flailing. The car screeched to a stop just inches from me. The man inside jumped out, yelling. I collapsed, crying, babbling nonsense. He helped me into the passenger seat, locking the doors. "You okay? What the hell happened?" All I could say was, "Call the cops." That brings us here. I'm sitting in this cold-ass interrogation room, wrapped in a blanket, bandaged and breathing, barely. Two detectives sit across from me. One looks like he hasn't slept in days. The other taps a pen on a notepad. "Your name is Caleb, right?" The first one says. I nod. "You're lucky to be alive, Caleb." He slides a file across the table. I don't look at it. His name's Alan Griggs. Went by a dozen aliases online. We've been trying to catch this sick bastard for years. I swallowed. Years? He nods. He ran something like a dark web game show. People would pay to direct what happened. Most of his victims didn't make it out. You did good, though. Took out the monster. Is he, dead? Yeah, very. In that moment, I don't know if I should feel remorse or guilt, or maybe both. Later, a therapist came in, told me I might struggle for a while. That's an understatement of the century. Some nights I wake up thinking I'm back on that mattress, that I hear the camera's red blink. But I survived. And if you're listening, watching, just know, it can happen to anyone. Walking to your car, driving home, falling asleep for a second. So stay alert. Stay alive. And if someone's watching you, don't ignore the feeling. Thank you for listening to Day 20 of the Horror Marathon here on the Draconian Universe. This story was a reminder that the most terrifying monsters don't always hide under your bed. They often wear masks in plain sight. Be safe, be smart, and as always, stay draconian. Good night.
I run a small YouTube channel called Urban Mythos, 24,000 subscribers and climbing. Paranormal deep dives, local legends, ghost hunts, all low budget, all real. That's the brand. 3 weeks ago, I got a DM that changed everything. Ever heard of mile marker 77? Take Route 19 past midnight. Don't stop, don't blink. No name, just coordinates, a date, and that cryptic message. I googled the road. Rural as hell. North Carolina backwoods. One way in, one way out. No cell towers for miles, which made it perfect. June 6, 11:43 p.m. I'm live streaming the whole thing. Just me, my dashboard cam, and the chat flying by like a slot machine. This better not be a fake-ass Slender Man thing, lol. He's really doing this, huh? Road trip to hell, baby. I hit Route 19 and reset my odometer. I'm at mile marker 65. It's pitch black, the kind of dark that eats your headlights. No houses, just forest pressing in on both sides. My windows fogged slightly from the rain earlier. I wiped them with the sleeve of my hoodie. Bro, turn on the creepy music. Turn on the Ohio chat audio, lol. Is this where they filmed Wrong Turn? Mile marker 71. A fox darts across the road. I swerve slightly. My heart skips. Still with me? I ask the cam. Chat explodes with memes. Mile marker 74. The radio fuzzes out. Total static. I switched it off. My own voice is the only sound in the car now, aside from the soft drone of the engine. Then I see it. Mile marker 77. It's taller than the others, older maybe, bent slightly. The paint's chipped. A crow is perched on top, unmoving. All right, I say to the cam. Here we go. I slow down, but don't stop. That's the rule, right? Don't stop, don't blink. The chat is buzzing. Turn around. Something's behind your car. Yo, WTF. Pause the vid. Did anyone else see that? I glance in the mirror. Nothing. Just trees and mist and... Wait. The crow again. My headlights flicker. I swear I feel my ears pop, like changing altitude. The road ahead doesn't look the same anymore. Mile marker 78. That can't be right. I just passed 77, and I haven't taken a turn. I check the odometer. It still says 12.1 miles. I pass mile marker 77 again. No crow this time. I grip the wheel tighter. Okay, funny trick, locals, I mutter. Looping road prank, real original. Again, the chat is chirping. Bro, you passed 77 again? It's looping. You're trapped, dead ass. Run it back. He didn't turn around. I pass mile marker 77 again, and again. After the 5th time, I stopped the car. I know what the rule was, but screw it. My GPS shows nothing, just a gray void. No roads, no directions, just the arrow, spinning in place. He stopped. R.I.P. Bro didn't follow the rules. Something's coming. Something is. The fog ahead parts. A figure walks out into the road. It's a man, I think. But tall, too tall. Skin pale like bone. Dressed in a black uniform with no visible insignia. His eyes are completely white. No pupils. He raises one arm and points at me. I reverse, hard. but the road behind me is gone. Just trees and darkness. Hello? I call out. What do you want? The chat goes crazy again. Get out of there, dude. Turn your lights off. It's right next to him. Zoom in on the left side window. I look left. There's a face pressed against the glass. I scream, punch the gas. The car doesn't move. The man in the road is now standing directly in front of the hood, staring at me. My stream disconnects. The screen goes black. Chat cuts. I push the car door open and run. No flashlight, no direction. Just blind panic and adrenaline. The forest is silent. No wind, no bugs, no animals. I stumble, crash through brush, skidding my palms and knees. Behind me, I hear footsteps, but they don't match mine. They're slower, heavier, like boots on gravel that isn't there. I crouch behind a dead log, trying to breathe quietly. He walks past. Only, he's not walking, he's gliding. Feet just above the ground. He stops, tilts his head, sniffs the air. He says something I'll never forget. You blinked. I don't remember what happened next. Just screaming, running, crying. Next thing I know, I'm waking up on the shoulder of Route 19. It's dawn. My car is there, parked. Doors shut. Engine off. My live stream is gone. The chat gone. The video corrupted. Only one thing remains. My odometer says 77.7 miles. I drove to the nearest gas station, still shaking. I asked the cashier if she's heard of mile marker 77. She said, people talk about it. Locals avoid it. Legend goes you pass it once, you're fine. Twice, you're lucky. 3 times, you disappear. So here's my advice. If you're ever on Route 19 at night, don't stop. Don't blink. And for the love of God, don't go looking for mile marker 77. Thanks for listening to Day 21 of the Draconian Universe. This tale was a warning to all curious minds. Not every legend needs to be tested. Some roads are better left untraveled, and some markers should never be passed more than once. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment your theories below, and subscribe for more terrifying tales. And as always, stay draconian. Good night.